Hey everybody, welcome to Manna Moments. So this week we are going to just focus in on two truths about God that one should lead us to worship Him, but also they're just anchors for our souls as we try to walk as followers of Christ in our everyday lives. And those truths are that our God is unending and our God is unchanging. And there's a lot of passages we could turn to that remind us of those truths, but Psalm 102, verses 25 to 27, the psalmist just really portrays it so beautifully. So Psalm 102, verses 25 to 27, and the psalmist is writing to God, and he's talking about God. And he says, "Long ago you established the earth, and the heavens are the work of your hands. They will perish, but you endure. All of them will wear out like clothing. You will change them like a garment, and they will pass away. But you are the same, and your years never end." God, you are the same, and your years never end. Every created thing, the heavens, the earth, and everything in them is fleeting and fading and perishing, and it's going to pass away. But the Creator, but God, is enduring, He's unending, He's unchanging. So when we say our God is unending, we're really just saying He's eternal, right? God has no beginning, God has no end. If you turn and you look to the past, no matter how far back you look, you will never come to a point where God didn't exist. And if you look to the future, there will never be a day where God ceases to exist. And I think it's easy to see why that gives us confidence and why that is just an anchor for us, because it reminds us that there will never be a day in our lives where we're without God, where He abandons us and just leaves us on our own. God is always going to be with us no matter where we are, no matter what we're facing. He's going to be with us today. He's going to be with us tomorrow. He's going to be with us in 10,000 tomorrows. When we are dead and gone, He's going to be with our children and our children's children and their children. God is unending. There will never be a day when God doesn't exist. And God is unchanging. So not only will there never be a time when God doesn't exist, but He will always be who He has always been. He doesn't shift. He doesn't change. He's not fleeting and fading. He doesn't get worn out or used up or deteriorate. God is constant. He is unchanging. That is such good news. That's hard for us to grasp, I think, because we live in a world where everything around us is always changing. Like even we ourselves are always changing. But God is not. He is unchanging. And what we mean when we say that, we don't mean that God's actions are not changing. We mean that His attributes are not changing. I think it's important we kind of differentiate that, because God's actions are always changing. Right? He interacts with us differently all the time. Like if you're praying that God would provide for you or give you strength or grace, He may do that one way, one day, and then the next day answer that prayer in a whole different way. His actions, in a sense, are unpredictable to us. But His attributes are very predictable. They do not change. God is always wise. He will always be holy. He's always righteous. He's always strong. He's always sovereign. His perfections are constant. He's never going to become more perfect or less perfect. And that is good news for us. That gives us confidence. Because can you imagine if that wasn't true? Right? Imagine if God was always changing and we just didn't know what to expect when we went to Him. Like we had to wonder, like, if I go to God today, is He going to be moody, like in a bad mood, and I have to kind of tiptoe around so I don't upset Him? Is He going to be tired out today? Is today going to be a day He deceives me, and instead of leading me in paths of righteousness, He misleads me? Like we never have to worry about that. God is always going to act in line with His character. We can be absolutely sure of who He is going to be. And that just, I think it gives us such a firm foundation to stand on, such confidence as we're walking through our lives. And just to give us one more reason to rejoice, our God is unchanging, but he has an unchanging commitment to change us. Like, we don't have to be who we've always been. Our unchanging God is changing us every day, little by little, to make us more like his son. So I just encourage you to take some time and just marinate in those truths of how constant and trustworthy and faithful and dependable God is, that he's unending and unchanging, and let it lead you to worship. So that is it for this week. God willing, I'll see you next week.